then don't want to work.
The Harrison Ford xenomorph just refuses to kill anyone.
Just kill me instead.
Goes back into the egg.
Yeah.
Crawls back in the chest. Shut up. Leave me alone.
Oh yeah, I'm watching something with Harrison Ford in it right now.
New show.
Shrinking.
Yeah, that show is so great. I'm really liking it.
Oh,
His
yeah.
character's so grumpy.
I mean, it's the Ted Lasso Scrubs team, so they're working their magic.
all right. No wonder I feel so uplifted and motivated after watching it.
Right?
Believe.
Well, and it was just so surprising what just mature material they were taking and being so kind to it. And I was just like, yeah, because most comedies you expect them to be very blunt and too much, and I didn't have to worry about.
Right.
Yeah,
it was surprising. The fact that Harrison Ford agreed to do anything.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Harry says he's perfect for it because he's just being rough and.
Well, and he seems like
unfriendly.
he really believes in the content of the show because he's really acting like.
I saw the
Going
trivia
along.
and they're like, we still don't know how we convinced him.
I am genuinely surprised that Marvel got him for the new what's the name?
He must have a lot of weed that he just really needs.
I don't know how they had
I
it.
don't know.
Like, can you imagine him in a meeting with Kevin Feige?
I think it would go a little something like this.
Like his
At times he can
staff
sound like
is-
Frankenstein's monster.
That's what he should do. He should have gone and done the Universal monster movies. They don't even tell him. They're like, and here comes Frankenstein. He's just like, no, great.
What
It's a wrap.
if it was Harrison Ford playing Wolverine instead of Hugh Jackman?
That would have went okay. I mean, honestly, that's closer to his character.
Get off my mutant mansion. I don't know.
Yeah. Give me back my son. Bob.
Might just become the fugitive.
I didn't. I did not impale my brother.
I mean,
I think you did though. The problem is we can
there
see
you go.
you do it
It's
every
been
6th
done even
episode.
if we don't realize
Dunk that.
They were doing this. You impale him like every month.
To answer your question, Ellis, I'm sure it'll be like his Apocalypse Now cameo where he just comes right in, says his line, but it's so good you kind of wish.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I even forgot that he was in that. Oh wow.
Is he the one that comes in to Brando when they're
he's given the
Don't let him-
briefing.
He's in the
and
briefing
like,
scene,
"Kurt's
wearing
extremely
the glasses.
dangerous."
Yeah. He's
It's like
an
his
intelligence
conversation cameo where you're just like, too good for this movie. We need it. So while we've had this belated historical
Yeah.
geekdom, well, we got Clift and Aaron from the Predator Minute.
Yeah,
Love
what's
these
up?
minute podcasts, and I know they're not on the same platform, and that's what shocked me at first. Is like, wow, it's a multi thing. Everybody's doing it, kind of like TikTok, but before
Yeah.
TikTok. And so,
So many minutes.
What made you guys get into this Valverde saga?
Yeah, we honestly were first fans of Star Wars Minute, which I
Mhm.
think was the ones that
Okay.
kind of got everyone into it. And we found out there was a whole community and we wanted to do some podcasting. So I think we wanted to do Princess Bride. It was taken.
Yep.
And I think we had actually, Ellis, I know we haven't properly introduced you yet, but I believe you had mentioned Running Man. I think that was our second choice. And then we
Oh,
just
was
started
it?
going-
Yeah.
And then
Anything
Commando
Arnold
taken.
related? Yeah.
And then Predator, and I'm really glad we did, without taking too much time. It has very little dialogue in it, which actually means it's perfect for a minute by minute breakdown because you really have to find something in that to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting lighting. It's interesting how they shot this.
And we'd always go long on the minutes that had no dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like describing the scene, describing what they're doing. That was really fun. And then having those military people
That was
come
my
in.
all-time favorite.
Yeah.
But like, does this look accurate? He's like the way that all of them walk directly next to each other, so one grenade can
No.
kill them all. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it was great.
Like, all right.
Probably not quite as interesting as like I heard a podcast where they were talking to real pilots after Maverick came out.
Oh, again.
Yeah.
Oh my
that
God.
was really fun.
That sounds like
Yeah.
a Funny or Die video.
The,
I want to join the Navy.
I know we're going to be talking more Aliens and Predator kind of crossover later,
Yeah.
but it is interesting because the first Predator and the first Aliens, or first Alien, I should say, have a lot in common in terms of they're paced that way. There's just nothing happening.
Would
except
you look at
tension is
that,
building.
Vato? Yeah, just everybody's getting all gruff and locker room talk, and then
Okay, the xenomorph that pops out of El Scorpio's chest. What would that look
That's
like?
Predator 2.
Oh yeah.
ooh, yeah, that's a good moment. We're already a head start. So Ellis Hilmerson from Horror Community News and Swedish Horror Nerd on Instagram. Welcome to the show. How did you get
Thank
into
you.
the Alien and Predator saga?
It started back in 2012 when I was a little kid of 11 years old, and my dad had bought the Prometheus Blu-ray brand because it was a brand new movie at the time, and that
started the whole Blade Runner connection. So it's weird
Yeah.
how Verde Saga
Ah.
really gets twisted.
and it's yeah. So I watched that movie as I watched Prometheus at 11 years old with my parents,
Oh my god.
which was one hell of an experience when you're 11 years old.
Yeah.
That's when I saw Predator at 10.
I think I saw Aliens around that time. That was
Yeah, the
like
aliens would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It helped that they were on cable TV a bunch of the time. So,
Yeah.
Spike TV would have the Alien Saga.
Oh no, I watched mine on
marathons.
VHS. Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, fair
We're
enough. Predator.
So I
movies were
watched
on FX all
Prometheus.
the time, so-
So I watched Prometheus, and then shortly after, I watched the first Alien movie.
Wow.
That's so neat.
And so I think it
Going
was like
right
within
into
the
brutality. Nice. Right.
I think it was like within the span of 1 or 2 weeks, I watched both Prometheus and the first Alien at 11 years old.
That's dark, man.
I like it because it's, we often talk when we talk about Star Wars, is there anyone who saw, people came up with the prequels
Yeah.
and then later saw the originals. And it's kind of like that way of coming into Aliens. You came in.
Yes.
I
you
mean,
came in,
Wow. Yeah, that would be a
but
crazy way to be
technically
introduced.
you're in order.
Yeah.
Just like with the prequels.
Correct time.
In all fairness, I saw Alien versus Predator first.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
But
okay.
I knew that these movies were, high esteem. They were mentioned in just about every other, making of film book. So I always knew, okay, I've clearly seen a lowbrow sequel, to this and that. But,
Yeah.
that's a good point too. There is some movies and shows that can, like, I almost didn't get into Star Trek had I not given, Wrath of Khan and seen
Oh yeah.
some of the best next gen episodes. I would have instantly been like, what is this shit that my parents are into?
Curious. That's the stuff that pulled me in too. Like Wrath of Khan, definitely. I think.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
watching
motion
the
picture,
original
had I not
series
just
was
been
fun.
patient
Yeah.
and really into
Yeah.
visual effects driven cinema, I don't think I would have given it a second shot. So it is interesting how, like Els is getting into, and how you guys are bringing up
Yeah.
VHS era, is like, if you just don't give any of this a shot when you do, then you do miss out on it. I mean, I would occasionally encounter people who were only really into it because on rare occasions they were really into the computer games, the click and shoot and comics. So it is interesting how you get into stuff through an atypical avenue.
Yeah.
Like I often would know things were a big deal that had imploded when I saw that there were McFarlane toys or action figures of them,
Yeah.
because I just got, okay, whoa, that it's more than just that this is a cult movie, it's on TV all the time, it's been given this new thing that's called a DVD treatment, 20th anniversary. It's like when I saw that there were action figures, and boy, I'll tell you, there was a ton, like anything from Phantasm to Buffy and Angel to John Carpenter hits. I instantly
Yeah.
knew, okay,
Oh,
whoa,
wow, yeah.
this is a movie, and clearly you're going to be given that cloud of doubt if you just come up into a crowd of people and tell them it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Well, it's funny because so I did some quick math,
Mhm.
Ellis, and I believe we're twice your age, right?
Yes.
So what happens now? So you're kind of going backwards in time, and I find it now when I'm trying to get into a franchise or something. I'm doing that where I'm coming in late, and people are like, no, you got to go see this thing from like 2001, and I'm going, what? I didn't even know about that.
Huh? And it doesn't. I mean, it would always help when you would even go through a film history book, and almost all the time there'd be like scant reference to like just anything from a painting to a music album. And then, I mean, even if you're reading a making of Star Wars book, or something like that, just you're almost always going to get someone in an interview saying they were inspired by some earlier sci-fi masterpiece like Forbidden Planet or 2001, and you're just like, whoa.
Yep.
So now I got to really check these out because I want to see what inspired these designers.
Yeah.
But what is Rick Baker or Stan Winston, a big key part of both AVP? What are they inspired by? Why is Rob Bowden? You can't tell me he's not inspired by the alien creature for his, the thing makeup.
One thing that I think is interesting is kind of the Alien franchise is so interesting because it always exists. Like there always comes out a new movie every couple of years. And you mentioned that the first one you saw was AVP, so that was 2004.
Yeah.
And the first one I saw was Prometheus. So it's like each generation has like their own introduction made for them from this franchise, but I think it's so interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure I must have started with Alien. I mean, both of us must have, but it was Aliens that caught it for me because being, the near teenager around that time, I was like,
right, you want to go for more action-oriented sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then going back to Alien, I was like, I start to appreciate it more, right? So even within
and James Cameron, had made so many giant blockbuster movies while Ridley Scott's kind of here and there. He's done so much, like Michael Mann, that it's hot. He's kind of doing, and it's funny because James picks kind of a different style each time, while Ridley, it takes you a moment sometimes because he picks very drastically different approaches.
Oh, for sure. I mean, have you seen Raised by Wolves? That's like
I've heard that's good though.
Yeah, but it's very stylized and very
that's Ridley.
That's Ridley Scott,
He was the first to give the disclaimer, not related to my Blade Runner universe.
Yeah.
Very similar, inspired. I'm like, oh, interesting. So this is it was an interesting movie. I didn't like it as much as everyone else, but I appreciate the cyberpunk mentality. And
very uncanny though. Like the characters are so abrasively like weird, and I don't know.
I'm actually surprised that HBO didn't go along with it, especially when it was kind of a sister show to their Westworld. You would have thought they'd want some altered carbon type, content.
Oh yeah, no,
although that only lasted a couple years.
Yeah, that's true.
And the same kind of deal there. It's so wild. You kind of wish you could speak for these creators, because the creator of Altered Carbon was quick to say nothing to do with the Blade Runner universe. I'm like, well, you might as well, because clearly have you seen your show? Your team clearly loves those books and comics and
heavily
movies.
Influenced for sure.
But it is funny. I mean, we even see people like Cronenberg and other people will make disclaimers, and it's like, well, you might as well just take the gist that your viewers are inspired by. And Alien and Predator didn't have too much of that. It's mainly just you're seeing, again, like you say, you have all these scientists and xenomorphers who
it was like a what if.
But there is, it's interesting. I guess we'll just dive into the deep end here. Sure. I decided to reread the first Alien vs. Predator comic, which at least from what I
it was like 88, 89, a few years before Predator 2 came out and inserted that Easter egg of the alien pod.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it was all put together because they're under Dark Horse. At that time, Dark Horse also did Star Wars.
And that's why they allowed all those Terminator crossovers. And I'm surprised they never did any Star Wars crossover. I guess Lucas was like, no, then I have to call that canon.
Oh, yeah.
But
you're not having Jar Jar Binks Xenomorph.
That's what it is. It's not Dark Jar Jar. It's he has the same shape a bit. It's now.
Misa Xenomorph. Misa has the power of the dark side.
Oh God, he's got two mouths. He's got a mouth inside that mouth.
That tongue.
Oh no! So that's even more annoying. And then he probably has that tongue in the second mouth.
He could be like sprouted out of something that looked.
I mean, I would imagine he can't look any different than the vampires in Blade 2.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, are those related to the Demigorgon from Stranger Things, because they do the same thing, right? The sort of
Oh my
cuddle open
God.
mouth.
Or
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe the US
Resident Evil, does this play in
Yeah,
anywhere?
everything does.
Yeah, okay.
An
Maybe.
X-Files monster. Yeah, typical.
maybe
As
the
I think-
government in Stranger Things kidnapped
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks species and xenomorph eggs.
There you go. It's the Wayland
And that's how they created
Rotundi
Demogorgon.
organization. You found a way to make this all
That's
work.
right.
There
I
you
knew
go.
it. It's so simple,
so
right in
it's-
front of us.
It is interesting. So reading the comic, they try and thematically tie the two together.
Okay.
Very heavy-handedly, right at the beginning, the first comic basically just sets out the theme. Like literally, there's no dialogue, and they're talking a lot about sort of the same themes you run into in Jurassic Park, which is man
been a
versus
wonderful
nature.
crossover.
Containment.
As much as we try and contain these things,
Yeah.
we break free. And then, one of the pilots, as they're about to land, is talking about, I think it would be great just to get back to nature. We've lost so much of ourselves with all this technology, which is obviously what the predators represent. And then there's like the pure nature of the aliens and that whole connection. And I like the idea of trying to find a thematic tie, because honestly, the movies dealt with totally different themes, right? Hunter versus hunted versus sort of the power of nature that can't be held in, right?
Yeah.
And you pretty much got the gist, especially with Predator's whole
done.
failed mission, where he's like, "Hey, these guys, they work for the CIA. Dutch are supposed to provide cover fire." And why do you think so many fans of the first Predator movie will argue nonstop over whether they're official military versus mercs? I don't see how they could not be mercs.
I see they're official military. They're part of a
Special
elite squad of
covert unit. Yeah.
what was the line?
ragtag ne'er-do-wells. No,
My men are not expendable. And we don't do this.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, they're a search and rescue team. We talk about this a lot, but their ranks are all over the place, right? So
Yeah,
the colonel on the military base brings them in.
They're practically the A team. Come on.
Yeah, they're off the books.
Well, and it's so funny because they had some of the same stunt people.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And a lot of the same things. There's the muscle guy.
Yeah.
There's the weirdo dude,
Yeah. Okay.
The kind of nerd,
They stole it from the A team. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. You didn't bring this up on.
I mean, years before the
And
unit,
Billy's the
it's the
crazy
same
one.
kind of thing. Yeah, it's like we're fictional, but we're even more fictional than NSA, and approach this with GI Joe commando logic.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
I
they
never-
even have the female character that helps out from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
There you go. Sorry, go ahead.
I've actually never thought about what type of military they are in the first Predator movie. My thought have always been army dudes doing army dude things 80s style. That's been my thought process, and I've never gone longer than that. But it is interesting what type of military
I mean, I
they
think
are.
the guy who gives him the assignment is official military, but it seems like they can
The colonel
transfer
is-
out or do special assignments, because then they say to Dylan, pushing pencils for the
CIA got you pushing too many pencils.
Pencils.
You son of a bitch.
I mean-
that's all video for the people.
I mean, in real life, the US Army use mercs.
Oh,
right. I mean,
Oh, especially in
various-
South America. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
South America,
Big,
yeah.
nasty
I mean,
imperial
we're
initiative
talking
there.
Sicario territory. There you
Yeah.
go.
Valverde.
They weren't ready for the
See?
Predator in South America.
Man.
They just dropped the Predator in to destabilize the local economy, make sure they get the right government.
Well, what was happening was the CIA wasn't making as much money
they're
because
pushing too many pencils.
well, that and the supply chain for all their cocaine that they're selling was broken by the Predator, and so that's why they sent him in.
Oh
there
no!
to go
You
check
got to
that
say it
out.
Arnold.
To make-
You got to say it Arnold in Red Heat style.
Yeah.
So
My men
So
are not
Ronald-
expendable for your cocaine, and we don't do this type of blow.
So Ronald Reagan. So Ronald Reagan used predators to fight South American communists.
The Iran Contras.
Oh
yeah.
my god!
Contra, which was
Ah.
a video game
Yeah,
based on Predator
yeah.
and Aliens, actually used a lot of alien artwork late in the Contra games.
There you go. It's making sense again. It already hurts my head when you realize Valverde is part of Commando, Die Hard
Yeah.
2. And Die Hard is part of Ricochet and Speed. Uses the same
Mhm.
buses and reporters. And once again,
Very Busey.
taking
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
geez.
So the Valverde saga gets even more complex because if it's part of Blade Runner, so it's in other words part of some of the best blockbusters of all time. So
Yeah. So it was inevitable that they came together, honestly.
Yeah, I think so.
Dark Horse may have been the impetus, but it was always going to happen.
I'm waiting on that Valverde, the complete Saga relaunch.
But it's like comes across in a multimedia format, right? Where you got
Exactly.
movies, TV shows, comics.
Yeah,
Makes
it's
it very
written
hard
by
to-
Stephen E. D'Souza, who actually incorporated his Valverde country into his Sheena comics that he was doing.
Nice.
So,
Directed
yeah.
by Shane Black.
Oh shit. Okay.
Might as well.
Oh,
There
nice.
you go. That'd be interesting. And
Artwork by Ralph Steadman.
featuring the return of producer
would you do
Joel
that?
Silver.
There we go. It's going to be hard though when we go back through to figure out who's been canceled correctly. I mean, but still, like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, we can't bring back this alien or predator person because
Yeah.
they're canceled. They're not working right now.
We did have 2.5 governors just in one movie.
I know, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Billy
2.5
ran for
man.
governor of Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes.
That brings us to a good part. So, who do you think reigns supreme? Because, like, I know most people go Arnold or freaking Jesse Ventura, but it seems like Sonny
No.
Landham is kind of been a favorite, especially with just his final stand, and embracing his
Yeah.
Navajo.
Yeah, I'm gonna. This is a thumbs down to the character, not to the man, because he's allegedly a little.
Yeah, I know he's cuckoo.
He was a bit unhinged, to put it lightly.
Sonny,
He
if
was
you're
kind of
listening,
like
that was Ellis
Rhodes
who
in
said
Day
that.
of the Dead, where you're just like
Off camera, I was
whoa.
giving a thumbs up. So we actually
I didn't mean it.
we talked about it during the podcast. Predator Minute. I actually think he died was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Absolute waste. He didn't
Yeah.
slow the Predator down. If anything, the Predator seemed to like warp faster, like he used him as a jump pad.
Yeah.
Because they were like by the trees.
He's
they
a
start to
spider
run,
monkey.
He cuts it, and it looks like the Predator gave him no, because he dies off screen. It looks like he gave him no like even fight. Like he just kind of shot him and grabbed his
Yeah,
head.
yeah. I mean, it's
I
it's
imagine I imagine he just plowed right through him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
He
Yeah,
has
just
yeeted him off
Barely
the.
skated
Yeah.
him, yeah.
Just American football, just runs
See-
through and just blasts him off.
Yeah.
the tree.
I just imagine him
That would be a
standing
great
there.
edit. Do the NFL.
Yeah.
Closer themes.
The stiff
bumpers,
arm.
and then have like some other commentary.
Yeah.
or maybe
Right
something
through.
maybe something like in Crocodile Dundee happened. You call that a knife? It's a knife.
His whole plate's
Wait,
Jesse Ventura
oh,
body pops up. I don't think
know-
he's ready for some football.
you know that Indiana Jones scene in the first
Oh
Indiana
yes,
Jones?
when he
Where-
pulls. Yeah, the dude's doing the sword and he pulls out a
Yeah.
pistol. Yeah.
He just shoots him. I imagine that.
Just shoots him from the
man.
trees and
Back
doesn't
to
even look at
Harrison
him.
Ford. Yeah.
But
it
And
makes
there,
sense.
there you go.
That
Have there ever
happened.
been any homages of that in the comics? I think there are a few
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
they meet in like Caribbean type locations, and they somehow get through South American stereotypes somehow.
Yeah.
It's not marked to death type territory.
Oh, but
close.
yeah.
But I was always surprised that there wasn't a Danny Trejo type other than in Predators. And I will tell you,
Yeah.
I saw Predators in the theater,
As
and
did I.
I had a hysterical crowd, and I had a few minorities in the front row who didn't seem to have any idea about what movie they were into. And so when they see Danny Trejo die, his character, it's so funny. I heard one guy who's clearly a total big movie geek, clearly eating too many cheeseburgers, but he exclaims, "Machete died!" And then in the next few moments, like for the next few,
I
just
was
like
thinking that.
Tez dragging the skull and rib cage out. I was hearing a few people in the audience go, "Ooh, nasty." I'm
Now I
like,
noticed-
what movie are you at? Do you know what movie you're at?
I do really enjoy that in Predators we kind of get what the Billy Predator fight would look like, but with the samurai, the Yakuza dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah, and he was also really good in the Bourne Legacy, I think, in that chase.
Oh,
where he's
yeah.
chasing after Rachel Weisz and Jeremy Renner. But yeah, that was my intro to him as well. I'm like, okay, he's Yakuza, but how good is he with the sword? And next thing you know, both he and the Predator have a sword, and This is where I like. This is where it was totally a surviving the game, hard target, Running Man tribute.
Now, see if Hard Target, if they had Wilford Brimley.
Oh man, the
Oh,
Raging Cajun.
geez.
He came out on a horseback with his
There you
moonshine.
go.
Eat your oats.
Predators in space,
Yeah.
starring and
Technically, Predators was in
Ice-T.
space.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Arnold.
One thing. Wait! I just realized that Billy couldn't have been shot because he screams out.
Oh,
He just had his guts ripped out, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
No, he shot him
who
in the
was
leg.
shot in a
Was a
glorious
disrespect.
way.
but no,
Was
You're
Mac.
forgetting the number one rule. Pain don't hurt much. Oh, that's Roadhouse. My bad.
No, that's right. Billy used to fight guys.
I
Fuck
got
guys
time
like
to
you in prison.
bleed.
That's what happened. Billy said that line. He goes, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison." The Predator's like, "No, that's cool. I'm just gonna and just leave." Because you'll notice he doesn't take his skull. He takes Shane Black's little nerd skull, but he doesn't take Billy's skull. Is there more disrespect than that? Like, I don't even want this
what the
trophy.
hell?
This is a participation trophy. You can
doesn't-
keep it.
What do you mean he doesn't take Billy's skull? Oh, does he
Because
just throw it away? And
We
just
never even
skin
see
him?
it. Because next thing we know, he's
I
fighting
think that was
Arnold.
an inside
He would've
joke.
No, he
been-
rips. They have that scene where like he puts Billy down on the tree and he rips his
No, that's
spine out.
Billy.
Yeah,
is
well,
the-
because if you
yeah,
think about it,
dude that cuts his
no.
chest.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
a good point. And I like the see. This is why I like you guys, because you have to analyze every moment. You've seen it 200 times. I think because doesn't Billy pull a Leroy Jenkins and start panicking and saying "fuck this, I'm out of here"?
No, that's
Oh.
that is not.
Because I'm
Ramos.
going
What's his
somewhere
name?
with this. So whoever chickens out, I
Well,
think
no one
whoever
truly
he chickened
chickens
out. Because remember, the Predators have a honor code. That's why
Yeah.
we like them. They're hunters
Yeah.
with an
Yeah.
honor. They give you a moment to prep yourself before they charge you. I think
Couldn't shoot
whoever
you, that's
skull
not
he
sport.
flung, I think he was disavowing the dude because
Yeah,
he had
Ah.
chickened out. He had cowered him out, as opposed to the other
Oh.
guy who had said, "I'm going to stand, fight you."
could be Poncho. That was the dude, but he's really cowered out. He's just like,
No, he was
He was just
hit
trying to
with a
get to the
log
helicopter.
with that booby
Yeah.
trap, and his like freaking
Wait,
rib cage was shattered. Dude,
Do
Yeah.
we
a
see in
mercy
the
trap.
original whose spine and skull gets ripped out?
I thought it was Billy's because you see his
I
dead,
have
like
some memory of that.
lifeless face, like
I think
Yeah,
it has
yeah,
to be
I have
Billy,
that memory
yeah.
too.
and then you see him reach into his back and just
So
rip.
was
and
he
then you
doing
see a
that
spine and a
while Schwarzenegger was setting up for the final fight?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
'Cause I was like,
Yeah.
when would that have
Yeah,
happened?
He was
that
off-
makes better sense.
Yeah, he was off
and that's
doing
why
his
he goes, "Billy,
It's
would
like
do this to you."
See, he
The
couldn't take Mac's
Arizonian-
skull because that was blown away. That was the best
Allegedly,
one.
they actually filmed 20 years earlier the whole "give this job to my friend. He loves playing in the jungle" line. Oh wait,
Oh,
no, that happened in my head. One
yeah.
fever dream. They spent all this-
Yeah, it's if you're the governor candidate for Arizona, you lose against the Predator. If you're the Minnesota governor, you lose against the Predator. The Californian government, however, they can take on the
Yeah,
Predator.
They can take it. They can take
Ah.
the heat. See how they're
Yeah.
doing with the forest fires now.
It's very
Ah,
hot.
very
Predators are out.
steaming,
Yeah, they love it. This year grows very hot.
I'm coming.
It's
I'm
global
coming.
warming.
I know.
Global warming.
Yeah, it's going to bring more
Predator.
predators. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're really scared of. Climate change
Yeah.
brings more
I think
predators
they
every
shoot
summer.
sex offenders on site. Anyway,
That's why we all of a sudden only see predators in northern climates in the movies now.
That's right.
Oh,
Since when
yeah,
did we-
you're right. New York, right?
Well, also in Canada.
It's-
yeah.
Whoa,
New York
who's
So-
coming for
In
you?
1993, right? What was the
Yeah.
year? Yep.
There you go.
So,
Now we
like-
gotta have
Predator
well,
2
Yeah.
is
Predator
like the
2, yeah.
yeah, that's like the last time we see a predator in a sunny climate.
Yeah, and
And it's
they-
set in '97, which makes me think somewhere in this mix is Snake Plissken.
oh,
Most likely.
No, that's what
Maybe.
happened after El Scorpio and all
Right. That's
those
what he had to
gangs.
escape from.
Yeah, it ended up turning into
There you go. They were all
the
rejects from-
prison region. Yeah, yeah.
There you
They
go.
were just like, all right, we're giving up.
We're done.
We want to move out. Except for you.
But I do have
Mel.
to say, it is very well directed. Second unit with all the reporters going, "What the fuck? What the hell's going on?" And then
Yeah.
seeing again some of the same stuntmen who are the ones who fall off the hole in the original, or here, they're firing off grenade launchers, and there's an armored SWAT team.
Wonderful.
It's very well conceived, and you forget for a minute that Danny Glover is still basically in Lethal Weapon mode, because
he's got the same shirt on,
Murtaugh like things. Where he's like,
such a cop movie.
I got
He
this.
says it's like, it's my last day.
It's my last day. And
what would happen? What would happen if we took The Predator and we made a cop film out of it?
We did.
Yeah.
Too,
okay. There we go.
But it's
so
that's what they were asking at the time.
How did Bill Paxton? Why didn't he survive either movie? What the hell?
Because he's an asshole.
I don't know, man.
Isn't that what they say?
I like Hudson.
I don't know.
In Predator 2, they keep being like, the Hispanic woman's like, you're an asshole. Or no, is that aliens? No, wait, it's both.
Yeah, there you go. It was a nod to both, and at the same time, it makes you wonder if they were somehow related.
Yeah.
I wonder if in the first two Predators, why they're sound reliant in those two, but they aren't in the other ones. What if those Predators are like environmentalist predators, and the others don't care, and that's why they're in cloudy areas?
I think it's kind of like the planet they come from, right?
Polluted.
It's a full planet. It has poles. So, there'd be people that are used to the cold.
I always got the gist that their whole planet was very
tropical, maybe.
That's what it's set forth in the comics and in other things. But
especially in Predator too, there's a lot of steam off of his ship, I think. So
and even in Prey, they make the point that it's been an especially
much
hot
like
time.
Aliens.
Predator's like it's steamy.
If there's a good moment in all the Alien movies, they do all have good moments where they send them into the hydro sleep, and I always kind of got the same gist, especially at the beginning of Requiem, where the Predator ship's going down. That they're all ready to be reawakened in their ships.
Which is fairly close, I think, to how it's portrayed in the comics, even though generally the movies don't really touch the comics too much. I mean, as far as the
video games
ones,
are pretty much all about finding artifacts and fighting each other, and it's kind of wild how
crates.
The games are there were so many of them, like part 2, and they were like add-ons, and so
I did like this sort of side-scrolling arcade Aliens game. That one was
sweet.
Awesome. And Alien Isolation, of course, is great.
That was a lot of fun.
But
Predator games, we haven't had much.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, there was the concrete jungle where you would just literally go around slaughtering people in LA.
Seems pretty cool. You'd push like a button to get like infravision, and another one to get ultravision.
I can't remember if they did or they were talking about doing a what's that style of game where it's uneven, like they did it for Friday the 13th. They did it, for the Jason ones, where it's basically 5 players playing against one. One person is super powered. And I thought they were going to do that for Predator, or maybe they did.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be a cool idea.
Especially if you could do it like Predator versus Alien that way, and you have 5 xenomorphs under one Predator.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Predator's got a
match.
Predator's got all this weapery and stuff, and you can upgrade.
Yeah,
that'd be neat. All right, game designers, get on that.
Yeah, I know there's a term for this game I'm blanking on, but
I
Predator showed up in Mortal Kombat. I don't know if that counts.
I think so. Yeah, especially Dutch.
It is kind of bizarre that the Predator franchise didn't spawn a video game franchise, considering the character's motive is to hunt. That's perfect for a video game story.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, that's
the
absolutely
Concrete Jungle from 05. I don't know why they haven't tried it out more.
I'm sure just because in the Nintendo era there probably was one, and it was terrible because all licensed video games between like 87 and 99 were just abominations. And then they finally started to figure it out. But so I'll bet, even though I didn't look it up, but I'm going to, that there are Predator video games for the NES, and they're just awful. It's like you're like a guy, you just jump from platform to platform and collect something.
What they need is like a good first-person shooter / something like a Fallout, which is one of my favorites. But one of these expansive.
Yeah, and to be rooted to just a mobile game is just ridiculous. It's like
someone should do it justice, especially after you see all these different weapons platforms roll out in later movies and different differently bred predators and stuff. That's like
Isolation is first person, and that one works well because the xenomorph is literally invincible.
Oh,
until the end.
Oh, well.
I know the Predator appears in the infamous Call of Duty Ghost as a playable character.
Oh, there we go.
Had to make an appearance somewhere.
Yeah. I was thinking, I think there was was there a Subway game? Because that guy's a predator.
When was that Subway? I don't know.
I got it. That's funny.
Fresh, man.
Yeah, boy. All right, so they've ranked. I found a ranking of all Predator videos.
All right. Where'd you find this ranking? What is?
This is from GameSpot.
Okay.
The worst one being Predator 2 for the Amiga in '90. So I was right. Alien vs Predator.
This was way before my existence.
Oh wow!
Alien vs Predator: The Last of Us Clan for the Game Boy.
That thing was creepy.
'93. Aliens vs Predator: Requiem.
Always found the monochromatic.
Oh, there we go. Predator NES '88. Yeah. Plays Dutch, running through jungle, punching scorpions and gorillas, and it's a platformer, as I suspected.
Oh, okay.
Wait, punching gorillas?
I guess. I mean,
yeah, I think they mean the GUE kind. I can't get a good.
Aren't there anti-poaching laws?
Yeah, I just see green light.
Yeah, well, that's all they saw too. They said the best one is Aliens vs Predator 2 for the PC in '01. There we go.
There was a really good Aliens. I think it's called Armageddon, and that's the arcade game you often find at any typical bowling alley.
Yep, that was
it was
one
by
I was
some of the same guys who worked on something like the Terminator Salvation and Rambo arcade games that were very recent.
Yeah,
totally recommend.
Too, I think.
Yeah. It's I have kind of a perspective on this, and I want to see if that's correct. Like this perspective I have is after Predator 2 came out, you had a surge of non-movie Alien v Predator media, and then. Around the early 2000s, that started dying down, and we went back to movies. That's like how I view it.
Saturated.
Is that correct to view the 90s?
With mostly it being comic books, which had a huge run and then sort of died out, had a bunch of bad ones, and then came back, and lately it's been good again.
Yeah, it kind of started with would it be the original X-Men series where interest sort of started climbing again?
No, I think it was just in general because I mean that time period, good for comic books.
You could definitely, to answer your question, it was a Fox thing. Yeah, that's what brings it. That's what X-Men and AVP have in common. But yeah, it did seem like everyone didn't want to take a chance on anything. And we kind of had this conversation about Star Wars and Star Trek games. It's like Star Trek couldn't get past the oversaturation and just relied on showing reruns of the first 5 shows, throughout the years, and Star Wars somehow just had more time and money. It was easy to market. And I hate to say this, I just think audiences are just getting dumber by the minute, or they don't know what they want.
It's been like that since time immemorial.
I do think at least the attention span, like how people,
even just shorter and shorter.
I mean, just why do you think a Jordan Peele or Christopher Nolan movie is going to even make money? They have the marketing down to a T. They will just flat out just show you nothing and yet show you something, and that makes people irk the fuck out and go, I'm gonna see that opening day either, and I'll love it or I'll hate watch it. And it's like it seems like we got that kind of weird hemisphere that we're approaching. Like I can't The Mandalorian is ridiculous on Twitter. I can't go a single day without seeing people implode or take something or share a clickbait article. I'm like,
it's tough.
Chill.
Stay away from
stop ruining it.
From the teasers.
Yeah, I avoid teasers because I don't need toxic YouTube comments and people bitching and misinterpretation of something when I haven't seen it.
The art has gotten worse.
And I never watch trailers because there's the best parts or they're not in the movie. So one of those two things, neither are good.
Yeah,
right. I think you would mention sell and it's desperation, and it doesn't even have a Don LaFontaine worthy, narration.
And I'm going to go see it anyway. So certain movies
they already got your money. Yeah. I'm going back to the theater this year. So it's a big year.
The problem we have, I would say, is that we're moving into an era where drama stories, or I would say non-event film stories are going to streaming. I would say the cinema is moving
theaters.
Yeah, they're only putting big action in theaters.
Yeah.
It seems now more and more.
And so
it's something basic, like this is a big year already. Indiana Jones 5, the final one, and John Wick 4, Expendables 4, and then
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
This fall.
Cocaine Bear
coming this fall.
Cocaine Bear. Rocky
I saw half
III,
of that last night. That was
the cocaine or the bear?
The Cocaine Bear.
No, but okay.
Oh yeah, well, I saw.
So there's the ultimate question: will the Cocaine Bear be able to take on the Predator?
I think so. Not having seen Cocaine Bear, I'll give it a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
What would the xenomorph popping out of Cocaine Bear look like?
That would win.
Yeah.
It would look like Scarface.
No, the little mouth.
It has a nose that comes out of its nose.
I mean,
little
and then the Marines from Starship Troopers try to kill it. And then,
oh yeah.
And then the Lake Placid crocodile gets a hold of it, and you can only imagine what.
Isn't there supposed to be like a Meth Gator movie coming out? I heard
from sci-fi.
I mean, if they can make zombievers, anything is possible.
Apparently,
Octopus versus Wolfnado.
Well, they're starting to rip off these drugged animal things.
Animal things.
It's funny you mentioned that. So let's tie it all back in. Alice, you had mentioned the comic books that were real popular in Alien vs. Predator. For anyone listening that doesn't know this, and you can look these up. It's going to sound like I'm going to start making them up.
Would mushrooms
do you want to make them up?
Happy?
Yeah, see which of these. One of these is fake.
Yep.
Aliens vs. Predator vs. Batman vs. Superman. Aliens vs. Predator vs. Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens vs. Terminator versus Wolfblade. That's a real one.
It's definitely the last one. You took a while
fake.
There's Predator versus Archie. No alien yet, as far as I know. Even though maybe.
Oh no, the ginger.
What? I think Punisher might have fought Predator or Alien.
Yeah,
I fact check that.
It rings a
bell.
I can see Punisher doing okay. Yeah. He's very angry, but his mouth is going to be open all the time because it's going to be raged, and it just opens him up to like a face hugger.
No, it's perfect for fighting the Predator because he's just so bright red with anger.
Well, yeah, the Predator. But if Alien comes,
like your chili's running hot. Well, take it down.
So it's like rock paper scissors, the Alien takes out Punisher every time.
Alien's definitely scissors.
Yeah, but Punisher is like a mutated version of like Paul Kersey from Death Wish, Jack Bauer from Rambo. So you got to kind of gel it all together. Is like how much punishment can he take? And
we'll return after these messages.
Hello and welcome to Culture Shocked, the pop culture podcast brought to you by 4 aging millennials and our outdated opinions. Join us every Tuesday as we discuss movies, TV, games, and even music, new and old.
Dude, what do you think you're doing?
Are you seriously trying to record a promo without us right now?
Well, yeah.
Dude, you can't just do the promo by yourself. Who's gonna listen to that?
Yeah, and you probably haven't even told them that we're a pop culture podcast where we always agree on everything. For instance, the Sam Raimi trilogy, easily being the best of the Spider-Man movies.
No. But I think we can all agree that Jaws is a classical masterpiece.
Nope, don't like that. But we do all agree that the sequel trilogy of Star Wars is the best in the Skywalker saga, right, guys?
That comment is so ridiculous. I don't even know where to
Anyways, that'll do it from all of us here at Culture Shock. Thanks for listening.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR. We add them to our queues. We wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US. We are in the UK. We are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Although no one has named their rap persona Big Jack Dorsey or
Big Jack Dorsey.
It's just Big Punisher. Wait, Jack Dorsey's the Twitter guy, not Jack Bauer is the one.
Yeah,
Big Jack Dorsey
Thank
would be a
you.
great
Thank you. I
rap
was
nickname.
trying to be like,
I just need my rapper.
If
I like
if
the
I
Dolph
can,
Lundgren pet or
I want to mention something with Cocaine Bear. What I find so interesting is that the MCU has gotten to the point now that this weekend that was, Cocaine Bear actually was able to financially take on Ant-Man.
Yes.
They were equal in numbers, and the large demographic for the MCU, which is young men, they went to Cocaine Bear. So
and then
who knew
snuck over to Ant-Man.
that this Leviathan of a franchise was Cocaine Bear was capable of taking it down or matching it at least.
Ellis, I'd assume you would have predicted this. We just talked about the short attention span of the modern moviegoer. What can be better than Cocaine Bear? It's a 15-minute film.
Unfortunately, it's not.
I don't think
everyone comes running out of theater. That was great. They're like, it's still going, mate. It's still going. It's only been 10 minutes.
I don't think that even though we are going to see a problem with the attention span in my generation because of TikTok and other stuff, we're gonna see some interesting consequences of that further down the line. I think the real simple thing here is it's a tale as old as time. You don't have a story that attracts, and then people won't be attracted. I think that you mentioned oversaturation. That is what's killing the MCU right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do want to point out that Prey was probably the best Predator movie.
That was good.
Predator 2. Some people like
that was out of bounds.
After just Predator 1.
Yeah.
And that told a slower story that had to build.
Yeah.
So there's hope.
I think with a lot of these types of things with these franchises, you have so much like fan vitriol, like if the creators don't do
what if I did
this, and so they're trying to play it safe and sort of placate everyone to sell more tickets or sell more
Star Wars
merchandise. Yeah, and you get real crap. You get
I just said Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it's like
Predator versus Mondo. I'd see it.
Even though you have a lot of Predator movies beforehand, before Prey. Prey is a standalone story. You don't need to see a single Predator movie before Prey.
Right. No, you don't.
Yeah.
In order to understand it.
Producer John Davis,
for a Marvel movie,
when they pitched it, they were like, "It must stand on its own."
Yeah. Oh, it did.
To get Arnold back, and the most we could do was get him back for an interactive virtual game. You know? I just don't know why he won't return to playing the Dutch character, but I'm sure at the same time he probably wants to do something that he hasn't done before. But in a way, do you really think of the Dutch versus Predator fight as the official Terminator versus Predator fight?
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, let's just say that's the twist. They should do a comic book where Dutch finds out he's a T-800.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
It would be weird because both of them tend to sort of like, although not the original Terminator,
there you go.
See a lot of sort of self-destructing.
And he has a Unisol or Data on Star Trek type emotion chip or something. I don't know.
It would be funny because they both fight so stiffly. Oh, and RoboCop. There we go.
There you go. Alex
That's
Murray and finds out he's a robot, and at the same time, Dutch finds out he's a T-800. Perfect. Love it.
Perfect. Metal on the inside, metal on the outside.
Does Dark Horse still own the AVP comic?
They own all of the pretty much all the sci-fi franchises except for Star Wars.
Star Wars reverted to Marvel. Like Del Rey or Disney Comics, Marvel Comics.
The Dark Horse comic is now owned by Embracer, which is a Swedish company located in the town I live in.
That's right.
Cool.
I did know that. Because that company's buying lots of rights.
Okay.
Yeah,
take some photos. We got to see what it's like down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna visit.
I believe.
I'm gonna visit. I'm gonna visit them this Tuesday with my college class.
Jealous.
Awesome, great. You got to get photos for the show notes. I believe
they're opening a retro museum with 80s and 90s video games.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah,
cool,
sweet.
I might have to fly over there. I'll be in Paris in November.
Can we get a cheap flight from like Iceland or something?
We'll talk to our sponsor.
Yeah, okay.
Cliff, what is this Paris visit? Do you speak of? Is it Predator in Paris? Is that the name?
Predator. You can all. That's what I'm pitching, but it's going to be.
You can all live in my student apartment.
I see it.
A Predator in Paris. Wait, no, that's Roman Polanski. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh God. you guys, you can come to Sweden, visit Embracer, and you can all live in my student apartment.
Perfect.
Damn.
We'll pay for it by taking like a gold copy of university games from the Nintendo library.
There you go.
$1,000.
Oh, and see, that's what I also appreciate about Predator 2, even though it was helmed by Stephen Hopkins, years before 24 and of Judgment Night and Nightmare on Elm Street 5, the Predator never risked becoming the next, slasher knockoff character. He was all about just more pride and honor, and
it has been interesting. Really, they've stayed pretty good with Predator tending to be an action franchise, and
the Alien is kind of more like Universal monsters. You come upon it.
Yeah,
there's some horror in there too, though.
Yeah.
Besides Aliens, I'd say all of them have at least one scene of a pretty grisly death.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's some pretty nice horror elements, and then obviously with Prometheus, it gets back to that sort of scary.
Oh yeah, see, the first Alien movie freaked me out. I could watch all the other ones.
Well, that's a full horror movie.
Yeah, that thing was.
You literally, I had to shield a remote with my. Against my eyes. I'm like,
that movie scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
It's just so wild, and if you fast forward, you won't get the effect.
I'd sleep with a pillow over my head so I wouldn't get like face hugged at night.
And you find the 3 dots on your chest.
How it's a metaphor for like a heart attack.
Oh God, it's a brutal heart attack.
Here's an interesting
you're
thing.
Looking at your heart popping out.
Here's an interesting thing. After watching Prometheus as a kid, I was scared. After watching the original Predator as a kid, I was scared.
After watching
the original Alien,
parody, you were scared.
Not the original Alien. And how old were you when you saw the original Alien?
Also 11.
Oh wow, interesting.
You got.
I think at this point I had seen so much stuff that I shouldn't have seen at that age.
Yeah,
I was like
anime,
battle hardened little 11-year-old.
Even like the androids getting torn apart was gross. I couldn't eat cabbage after that. Cabbage reminded me of their torn body parts.
Especially when it jumps out and it does the little song and dance.
There you go. There you go. I love my baby.
The top.
Oh no, not again.
Not again.
When puppet on his dick.
When talking about the horror movies I saw at too young of age, I always quote the judge from And Then There Were None, where others were horrified. I was fascinated.
Wow, there's a dig.
Yeah, you're not locked in here.
I would love to see Agatha Christie's version of Predator. That would be amazing.
God,
Hercule Poirot is gonna try to figure out why people's chests are exploding.
There you go. It's a haunted house, and
the first 5 minutes he does it kind of like Glass Onion, where he just sort of sorts everything out. He would see those guys skinned at the beginning of Predator and be like, apparently we have ourselves an alien that takes
reckon we got ourselves an
Miss Marple versus the Predator.
Oh man!
Benoit Blanc was the Predator
from the creators of Clue and Knives Out. Yeah. It comes. Agatha Christie's the Predator.
Yeah, Predator on.
I want to see.
It could be like
Predator on an island.
I want to see Kenneth Branagh with that massive mustache fighting the Predator now.
Wow.
I want to see the Predator with the mustache. Oh wait, I have some fan art right here.
Oh, that Great.
In the
Wilford Brimley.
in the comics, there's a lot.
Diabetes versus Predator.
Eat your oats.
Yeah, diabetes wins.
Diabetes.
The Thing in Hard Target versus Predators.
The Predator tries to check his blood sugar, but he pricks his finger and it just dissolves everything all the time. Poor guy.
That's Alien.
I mean, Alien. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Predator's just like having a disco party with his blood. Jeez.
The in the comics, there's you see a lot of variations in styles of Predators, right? Different.
Yeah.
Like, they always tend to have the dreads, but sometimes they'll put it in like a top knot or one will be like
it was interesting how they blend in dreadlocks.
Yeah, because obviously it's for us, so we can tell them apart in the comic, but then, at least, whatever that counts as canon, it does show that they do like to sort of look differently.
Yeah, they got style. We
sadly haven't gotten that as much in the movies.
That's true. The least favorite part of
the Alien, they definitely had the creep factor down just with how they lit it, and especially when you get to part 3 where it's in the prison, you still see all that dripping water coming it down, and it's like half mutated and it almost looks like it has a green eye. And the Predator, I never found as creepy, but it definitely had a cooler, just, noise that it made.
Yeah, you could understand it. It had like.
It sounds like a mixture of a bongo drum mixed with a gorilla mixed with voice. Some other kind of reptile noise.
Yeah. Plus, it plays you back like your recordings.
Yeah. It's like a parrot.
There you go.
It is.
Now it's got to go to Jurassic Park. That's the only place you can keep it.
Well, the dinosaurs turned into birds, which turned into predators.
Ooh, what if the predators spit? Like they spit some sort of neurotoxin that paralyzes you.
I think that happens actually in one key comic. Like a xenomorph merges with it and it spits.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah. One of my big.
Of course.
If I can change the Predator subject, one of my biggest what ifs is what if the Jean-Claude Van Damme as the Predator, that was the movie we got.
Yeah.
I mean, we would have had Universal Soldier a year earlier. That's basically what it would have been.
I would have liked to have seen that idea of a Predator where it's a little more like a kind of quick spidery sort of movement.
And it can do some roundhouse kicks. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, those were in vogue in the 80s. And
so in a better world, in Ellis's world, had Van Damme not been a crybaby and actually done his job, it would have been interesting.
I would have liked to have seen it, if nothing else, like, some sort of, maybe just a 15-minute film,
yeah.
I mean, to quote Steve Johnson that made the suit for the Jean-Claude Van Damme Predator, this is terrible.
Or what if, I could just see the scene now, right? Dutch is there. He's swinging his gun back and forth. He's pushing the leaves aside. He's trying to figure out where all of his friends are dead. He's going in between two trees. Something lands on his head. He rubs at it. He looks up. There's a predator doing the splits in between two trees.
There you go.
It's an angry French duck.
There you go.
And for some reason, his voice synthesizer is like in French, Belgian dialect. I can kill you anytime.
Kill you anytime.
An Austrian fighting a Frenchman or Belgian.
Schwarzenegger's accent is so thick.
Oh, don't tell. Yeah, don't say he's French. French people don't like that.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the muscles from Brussels, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I offended every Belgian.
Yeah. But none that are French.
I mean, the French scare me.
I don't know if the French can.
The Belgians don't scare me as much, but they still scare me. So I don't want to offend the Belgian people.
But we have seen the French fight the Predator in Prey, because those are French colonials.
Oh, that's right.
French Canadians that are fighting them.
There you go. That's
they didn't do so well, apparently.
No,
but they are French Canadians. They're like the wish
the worst of both worlds. Yeah. Just kidding.
Everyone hates on Canada, man.
I don't know. I love it.
What's that about?
I love Canada. Maple syrup and stories for all.
Yeah, I wish it were cheaper. I would move. Poutine too. Let's not forget.
Yeah, British Columbia,
and a lot of good comics. So I mean, people that are funny.
Comedy versus the Predator.
A lot of actors, man. Yeah.
Just move out to like a field in Alberta. Just buy like a little cabin in a field.
Perfect.
Or maybe Saskatchewan, because I like saying
Saskatchewan.
Now, as far as the AVP movies, though, I mean, they have not been, let's be honest, they've not been great.
Yeah.
But I think some of the comic adaptations did a better job. Some were worse, but some of the comic adaptations I think would have worked better, because I think,
oh yeah,
in none of the cases, you know, basically they're kind of like alien movies with the Predator as kind of a side sort of character. You
They're
know,
Mortal Kombat movies.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And I always took them as Godzilla movies. I think if you actually literally try it at that point, where half the humans are irritating, the other half are actually trying to be like, they did a good job with Requiem having that female Marine, Rico Islesworth as a female Ripley. You know, I didn't. The only thing really interesting about the first AVP was probably just having there be a kind of, it almost reminded me of how Robert Patrick pitched how originally they were supposed to have a founder of the T-1000, one of the other Terminator movies. Is like, I liked how they showed the guy who inspired Bishop, Ryan Singleton in a dual role.
And also, I just realized another weird thing, especially considering the time. Women survive, and only pretty much women survive Aliens and Predator.
It's definitely an allegory,
because what's her name that they rescue in the first Predator? Obviously Ripley in Alien and Aliens, and the female character Marita Conchita Alonso survives through Predator too.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
And then in what is it? Was
Alicia Braga as the
Prometheus? That's right. She survives.
But then in the next movie,
Alicia Braga is the Israeli in Predators, and then most of the female gals on the Predator. So and Prey, same thing. So
and Prey. They've been good about female empowerment and not really being like this, not a hapless person, you know.
Yeah.
With Ripley and company, they were pretty good at just showing, hey, you know, they got this. They got enough time, and they're not cowering, and they're actually studying, and they're like Rambo, becoming very adept at their surroundings. And
I would have liked to have seen, and maybe they will one day, an AVP that kind of leans into the sci-fi, because in both AVP movies, honestly, they could have taken place really at any time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They could just be Marines in a cave, you know?
Yeah, and have someone who's related to Hicks or Dutch or something, you know, just have some kind of fun.
Have it on a weird planet, you know, kind of Star Wars it up, you know, have like aliens are coming in and they have to work with the Predators to sort of
Star Wars tells, but AVP style, just have them just
and there's one character, if they just let go, they can like hit the reactor, you know, with something.
There you go. Radiation melt down.
The Predator's reaching for his skull at the bottom. Let it go. Let it go, Predator.
It essentially becomes Doom,
then he sings.
Where you're going around in first person. There you go.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Experiment
what I think they should do is, considering they're going full hog on Hulu for some bizarre reason, this movie should be in the cinema, but I know that it was the previous CEO's CEO of Disney's choice to go full hog on
for the internet movie of all time.
Yeah, but I think what they should do is do an anthology series on Hulu with the Predator, and all are based on 90s AVP comic books.
Okay, I like it. They could do.
That's a lot of material.
Well, they could do the Alien and Predator anthology, and you don't even know if they're going to cross over in this particular.
I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I think that might be what Josh Hawley,
I think they can do it
Fargo,
too.
is doing, because I know he said he's developing an Alien, like, and it's kind of like the Rogue One show, you know, on door.
Right.
Just showing,
and you don't even
how people.
You don't even have to spend that much money on it, kind of, because you, with all this technology now where you can add in, you know, you can just take photos of somebody and make them do the acting. I think I think it becomes more economically feasible to start pumping these things out when you can rely on
They could even
computers
have people
to do
who are literally just the prop assistants, you know, kid, and have them in there, pay them $50 for the day. And
whoever's making this show, you now owe me do quick math, 38 million a year, because I just made you $1 billion. Baby Predator.
Baby Predator. There you go. Instead of
one
baby
of the aliens,
shark.
the alien mother is, killing everyone, sees a baby predator, and
is this how we bring the Mandalorian?
Yeah, it's how you
There
get
you
that
go.
Disney money, get
Grogu
baby
versus
predator,
the baby
merchandising. Merchandising.
He goes around in a little levitating alien egg, that's been like.
Okay. At first, I thought of the 1996 movie Baby Bigfoot.
Okay.
Which is like an environmentalist against logging movie with Baby Bigfoot.
Baby Bigfoot.
That was like the first one. Then I thought of Mandalorian, where like somebody has to return Baby Predator to the predators. And
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just money all the way through.
No, all the way. It's dripping with cash.
For listeners, and you guys may know this too, there's a wonderful webcomic called Alien Loves Predator.
I think I have heard of that. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Like imagining them being in a relationship. Yeah.
Is it a one-way relationship where the predator just,
you have to read it.
Oh, okay.
The Lord of the Rings, totally in love. Going on an adventure.
No, it's really about like relationship stuff, but it's the two of them.
Oh God. No.
It's wonderful.
I still think that we should just have a storyline where a predator ship carrying alien eggs gets sucked up in the multiverse, and now they have to retrieve alien eggs throughout the multiverse, go to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, go to the Star Wars universe, go everywhere that Disney owns. Like, end up in Disney Channel and chase xenomorphs through, like, Austin and Alley.
Yeah.
Well, hey, does Disney own?
I want to see them in the big Congress. where they have the
Brothers.
ETs.
Oh, Warner, damn. Okay.
Like you could see the ET aliens in
the ET aliens
Phantom Menace,
getting
but you'd
invaded
also
by
see the xenomorphs in their little chair.
Okay.
Like they're voting as well.
Okay, that would be cool. But I think it would be cool to see aliens versus ETs. That would just be so like.
I think it'd be a slump.
I mean, that seems just.
They're like,
how
hey,
would
we
they
got
fight?
flowers growing.
They wouldn't. They just.
They would just be hobbling along.
Yeah.
You see the little glowing heart, beating through their chest, and
they would be like,
oh no,
Reese's pieces to them. They just
out. I figured out how they fight.
Okay, go for it.
One grab another one, and they use their head to punch. They go like this.
A little battering ram.
Or,
I love it.
their head telescopes, but it goes up, and then another little head telescopes from up.
They just keep going. And they just keep jacking up till they're like kaiju sized. And the predators there, the aliens like, oh, whoops.
This was a mistake in evolutionary path.
I wondered how they got to space flight. They seem pretty useless, but probably should have seen this coming.
Oh, man.
Like, what if they're like a queen ET?
Yeah.
Oh, like a high. Oh, okay, yeah, and looks like an ant.
They kind of do have. They kind of do have a sort of kind of rough exterior. They could be one of the xenomorph crossbreeds. You know what I mean? Like it was like it impregnated like a naked mole rat, and you get an ET.
That's true,
and that's why they've got spacecraft, because they were from the space and they were like, we got to get out of here. Let's get into the spaceship that some other doomed species got into. And that means why they're useless and they want to get home, and they're like, we're lost.
They're good engineers. They got figure stuff
they got finger healing.
Yeah, finger healing. Hey, that's pretty good. Oh, xenomorph just popped out of your chest. Let me finger heal you.
Yeah.
And all right, that works. Okay.
I want to see like what's the relationship between the engineers and the predators, because they must know each of each other.
Well, yeah. So it would be so that predators, at least in original, comic canon and stuff, used aliens to seed planets so they could hunt for them to prove their sort of manhood, to prove their sort of coming of age, and that's how they rank themselves in society.
So weren't they like scavengers?
So they must have somehow received one of the other, which is the chicken, which is the alien egg here, which is the xenomorph, and which is the egg.
I think they were parallel civilizations, and probably I think it goes something like the predators sort of like I stole some of the engineered technology and was using it to build their own technology, and part of that was the alien, the xenomorph that they took for their own cultural purposes,
what if engineers and predators are actually from the same species? Because one of the interesting things about the predators is they seem to be kind of not really understand the technology they have. Like they used to have this big society, and it seems to have fallen apart, but they still have
like
this
they
technology.
took
They've devolved,
and they never got. I think they got comfortable with their technology, but they also got very spoiled because they just couldn't think of how to just like what to do when they got inevitably disarmed. Or
what I wonder, what if like, because the predators in nature are like, they seem more tribal, they seem more like of an older ancient people.
They're splintered.
And the engineers are more high tech. So what if an engineer ship or several crashed on the predator planet, and they just figured out how to do it?
They could
how
probably
to
punch
rebuild
their
it.
face off, but I think they could also get their heads busted off too.
I'm imagining more a divergent evolution from a base species. Think of Neanderthals and humans. We went kind of softer, reliant on technology, and their sort of evolution was more towards physicality and hunting, because that was what was hot at the time. That was the style.
But why would the face be so different?
Because it evolved that way for fighting purposes, for some reason or another.
I don't know. They seem more aquatic, though.
You do remember that Neanderthals kind of had a bit of a snout, you know?
But they got scaly skin, though, don't they? The
Neanderthals?
the predators.
Yeah, they kind of do have a fishy-like skin.
Yeah, I think they're a totally different branch, but they just borrowed from other technology. Now, here's the thing that's weird is what about the propulsion systems used by predators versus the engineers? The engineers have to get into these cryogenic tubes and travel around, because they don't have faster than light travel. But what about the predators? It's kind of implied that they do.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah, so it's like, so their propulsion systems are more advanced, and then the engineers are just better at biology. Is that what it is? I don't
think the engineers are supposed to be using those for less than faster than light travel.
I think that's like just it too. They both end up trying to adapt and end up using crappy resources.
The one, I believe, like they get like infections or something like that. I mean, basically one of them's impregnated.
I think
like
so.
Alien eggs and stuff. And so they put themselves in these suits to basically keep themselves alive indefinitely. Think of more like your cryopods and things like that. Their travel must have been faster than light, because remember, they got all the way to Earth. Even though we didn't use faster than light travel on that, did we? No, I don't think so, because they said they're like 20 years away. At least in the first one.
It's all just very conveniently like glossed over.
They sort of
because then there's Alien 3 where that entire, or not Alien, Alien 4 where that entire research installation ends up going into the orbit of Earth from some other planet, and it happens in a very small time scale.
Yeah,
I think this is it. They wanted to give them kind of an Egyptian kind of thing, like it's been here a while. I mean, especially the fact that they fought on a pyramid once upon a time, and then I think, with this Prometheus and just Alien in general, they've always hinted at just that. I like you guys' theories. They've been adapting while predators are always adapting, but focusing too much on their, carving their knives and making.
And it ties into the sort of theme AVP works on.
One thing I wonder with both the engineers and the predators, if they are related, then their DNA is very closely similar to us. So they are similar to us. They say that in the Prometheus movie. And if they are that similar to us, then that must mean that they have different languages, different cultures, different ideologies. And that's something I started to think about. Like, you must have, those two species must then have different viewpoints.
Right.
But they come off as an homogeneous species.
Well,
they do, because of the nature of when we're seeing them. They definitely explore at least the predators, or the Yautja, if you want to get technical.
Yeah, they're tribal nature, but it
shows different clans. There's even peaceful ones. There's
an alien is more of like a parasite that only occurs.
But the engineers might have a more centralized form of governance, perhaps. Like I'm kind of seeing this as like the predators and the engineers are sort of like opposites in terms of, well, the predators are stabilized, but they're very tribal and splintered, whereas the engineers kind of went a little bit too far, and now I guess they're extinct or something, because that android went and spoiler alert, wiped them out.
All the way back. That is, I think, the central theme is the balance between technology and our sort of original nature, right? As we're seeking more and more to control and sort of, make nature bend to our will, there's also just the unstoppable force of just nature. And I don't just mean trees and water, right? But just the concept of life finding a way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, back to containment.
Right.
What I do find weird.
Thing all over again.
What I do find weird, because I just recently rewatched Prometheus. What I do find weird is they find that engineers' DNA is compatible, is very similar to us. And from that, she draws the conclusion that we came from them. Like, that's, I was just thinking, is that even a logical conclusion to draw, that must be the only way? Like, it could be simply as we are related.
Works in Star Trek, yeah.
or you're saying it could just be a case of parallel
That was okay.
evolution.
So to answer Ellis's
could very well
answer,
be.
All it was just an incompetent science team.
Yeah, I mean,
take our helmets off.
I analyzed Prometheus from a scientific perspective while watching it, and it really falls apart. It doesn't make sense.
Now, I always thought that the core concept of Prometheus and Requiem were that they had created us. Because isn't there a scene to start one or two
and
where you see him sort of standing on a place that I believe is supposed to be Proto-Earth, sort of seeding it?
Yeah.
Even one of
they've been going around engineering species is kind of like what
and like in the
lower
language, doesn't he call himself like Adam even or something like that?
I don't know,
there's some sort of Adam reference somewhere in there.
They're definitely trying
Adam thing, yeah.
Yeah, because basically there's a cut somewhere out there of Prometheus where when they're talking they subtitled what the alien engineer said.
Yeah, they definitely
because they wanted it to remain more.
And then at the end they were definitely sending that, and there's cut scenes from that where it expands upon the conversation, but they were definitely sending that ship back to Earth to destroy it because they felt like they had the right to, since they created humanity in the first place. And humanity squandered. But you can watch that, like you can watch these cut scenes where it just gives it all away, and then they didn't put it in the movie. I guess they wanted it to be
very weird decision.
Yeah.
One thing that's also pretty funny is that Aliens has always had a really strong anti-corporate sort of vibe going on.
Yes.
Which makes sense because along with the nature thing, but the corporation's always evil. And,
it was born out of the 70s, and you had during the 70s. I always find it kind of interesting that each Alien and Predator movie is kind of a reflection of the time.
Yes.
You had the 1970s, you had politically left-leaning perspective, so very much blue-collar, anti-corporation. Then you had the 80s, big action movies, Aliens, Predator, and then you had Predator 2. So then you had late 80s, early 90s cop movie.
Yep. In that order. Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting to think about where Prey sort of lays in that, because it's also one of the. Does it have a Predator connection? Or sorry, an Alien connection? It has a connection to Predator 2 because the gun that she gets in Prey is the same gun they give to. What's his name? I was about to say Danny DeVito, but that's definitely not his name. No, the dude from Predator 2. That's the gun that they give him at the end of 2.
Oh crap.
The gun from Prey, that flintlock sort of pistol.
Sorry, I misheard it.
That they pick up in Prey. That's what they give to Danny Glover at the end.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's the same gun. So, and obviously that's the first movie that draws the connection.
Yeah, that's the Easter egg there.
On screen was seeing the alien skull in Predator 2.
Yeah.
Which finally paid off in AVP. I don't believe there are any other connections.
I think you pointed that out to me before. Yeah, that's a good point. That was big.
I think there's some corporation names that might be.
One thing I noticed that carries over a bunch. Predator films are surprisingly pretty consistent. Like, you can always tell who's got kind of Dutch kind of weapons or miniguns. But even those Predator dogs, came from
I forgot about
the
those.
Predator 2. As well as Predators, and it's like interesting. I didn't know they were going to continue going with that, but I kind of want one of those things. Those things are giant.
I don't know if I'd want
Come
that
on here, alien dog. You're a pretty cool dog, and that's that's why I like that addition. Is like because it reinforces how the Predators are a human like alien creature who If anything they like more than hunting is hanging out with their dogs.
Like the Predator.
The slab up Billy's arm.
Yeah, sorry, Billy. I'm just for the greater mankind. I'll feed it to my dog.
The Predator dogs, they are in the Predator movie as well, right?
I don't mean to talk shit about the Predator.
No.
I'm actually one of the few who actually didn't mind it, even though, there was...
I hate that movie.
It's all good. But
I'm required by
I
law
think there's a
to
better
say
cut of
good
the
things.
movie out there. I know there was a scene with Edward James Olmos that was cut. He was like the main guy overseeing that scientific facility, and there was more stuff making the connection of I'm sure he did. Jake Busey's character is actually supposed to be the son of Gary Busey's character, and they cut that whole subplot. I'm like, so I kept having all this promo material that kept noting about that in interviews, and I'm like, well, where is that subplot that I was told about? That would have been interesting. But I think they cut out a shit ton of stuff, like, just because I think it starred,
dude, Edward James Olmos teaching the Predator calculus. That would be so awesome.
There you go. President Adama versus
Oh yeah.
But no, you're right.
Predator versus Cylons.
Ooh,
that's more of an aliens.
How do you do against number 6 or Starbuck? But beating him up. But no, that's true. I can see him in Professor mode and stand and deliver mode. He's like, Predator, why do you kill? Why do you kill? But he's also a Blade Runner cop, and we already know how he handles those guys and Predator too. But no, that apparently there is, like, I think a lot of the footage was in the scene where that one actor who was a pal of Shane Black, who Olivia Munn complained about. I think they cut out a lot of his good main stuff. So I would like to see an extended cut of that movie one day.
But I mean, there were behind the scenes photos of the Predator, where there were Predators in tanks, driving tanks.
What?
I remember that so vividly.
That makes sense, because they were experimenting on him in that facility, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw another.
Remember, we get so distracted by all the ex-cons going back and forth. Thomas Jane and.
Because I remember a movie reviewer saying it based on the stories he had heard from, like, what the original concept behind the movie was. He said that it felt like Shane Black had a vision for the movie, and the studio kept pushing him and pressuring him, and he said, "Yes, well, fuck it then. We will do everything that you want." And that's why the movie's a mess, because he just gave up, because he knew he couldn't win against the studios with making.
I know those scenes are incorporated into the novelization, so I might need to hunt that down.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because there's so much more material. That is one thing about the modern world. I remember that, for instance, Aliens had a cutscene that was you can only access via the Laserdisc. And
I think so.
Where
before they
the guns are
in the movie.
it's been put back, but it was a scene where the automatic guns were shooting down the aliens, and they keep coming and they keep coming, and they're watching that number on the ammunition counter getting lower and lower.
Yeah,
that wasn't in the original movie release or the HBO or even the VHS. So we're watching because it's great, because it shows that there's some sort of hive intelligence, and they finally stop.
And it shows how futile it was.
But it also, it shows it's the first time we start to think of the aliens as not just mindless. No, ants. In fact, they're more like very smart
learning.
Ants.
Yeah,
like all ants. They work as a group.
Oh, those assholes! They always bite you all at once.
The aliens,
ants, and aliens, but
yeah, they're kind of the same thing.
They work in the same sort of societal structure.
Yeah, it's one organism just coming at you with base huggers. Oh,
but very single-minded.
Yeah,
keep the hive alive.
Yeah, the queen, man. It's the queen. She's the central processor of that.
She's the killer queen.
Dynamite with a laser beam.
It won't work. Damn. You need some sort of shine over.
Whose idea was it that the Predator and the Alien franchise should be connected?
That was, and I forget the person's name, but it was actually an executive at Dark Horse. It actually started from the comics.
Hence why
at least what I've read.
That is,
The writers were in there, the executive had his very first and only good idea. See, anti-corporate.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, we should link these two. I mean, they do it a lot in comics, right? They do crossovers. So that was born. And honestly, the first run. So if you look, if you at home or in your car and you're looking to read it, I recommend the first.
You own a car? No, just the nerve.
Well, this podcast, I didn't know if the sponsor was Honda. If you don't have one, head down to your Honda dealership. No, the sort of first run, the first series is pretty good. It takes place in the future. There's already a lot of crossover between the corporations. Yeah. It's on another planet where they're raising like these giant sort of rhinos to sell back to Earth. And it's really hot. It's a deserty place, so you can imagine the predators like to come there. They drop a bunch of alien eggs to sort of seed it with those rhinos, not knowing that the humans are there. And all hell breaks loose. Hilarity ensues. And actually, and this is hopefully not a spoiler, but one of the characters ends up joining the predators. She gets respect and joins their ship.
Oh, okay.
And that's where you see a lot of, you finally learn about their society and how things are done and how they don't really understand their technology, etc.
Yeah, you just have to be have that warrior spirit, right? Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's kind of interesting because like in between like where they're flying places, she has to like constantly fight to prove herself because it's like a pack of lions, right? You're like constantly testing the leader for weakness and the person above you or below you in rank.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man, you should have to hold her own really well.
She does.
Oh, good.
Be a short comic otherwise.
Oh, okay. How does she fight off a predator?
That's a good question.
Another thing that I think
Krav Maga,
is interesting,
probably, right?
Right, yeah, there you go. Krav Maga. I know at the end of the Predator, they were supposed to have the Newt and Ripley as the contents in that pod.
Yeah.
And that would have opened up way too many questions, but had they used a timeline forced into doing a sequel, I wouldn't have minded it.
Yeah. Another thing that I find interesting is that you had on a lot of the Alien and the Predator movies, you have had Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. doing the special makeup effects. And they have actually been a part of the Alien and Predator franchise separately since Aliens.
Them and Walter Hill.
Yeah, and it is a particular style of makeup and special effects. Because I remember in the original Alien movie, Ridley Scott had like real like animal parts like all over the place, and the actors said in interviews that it just stunk. It just smelled so bad with all this real rotting flesh.
It almost comes through the screen. You can imagine the smell of that place. Just
yeah, it's just.
You know what would be interesting?
The android smells like cabbage. Sorry.
No. An Alien vs Predator one would be interesting because I'm thinking about when we were talking about the timelines with the Ripley thing. It got me to thinking about one that was done well, and it was Star Trek Generations when they. Was it called Generations? The movie where they kind of tied the old. Yeah.
Oh, where they had.
No, you know what? Actually, First Contact is the one I was thinking of. Sorry, although that Generations is the one where they bring it all together
with the warp drive and.
It's sort of like it would be like showing how it all connects. Yeah. Like how did the Predator? Let's make them all connected. Alien, Predator, and engineers and humans. Like, what is this weird connection our four races have? And showing it in some sort of
once again there's enough time travel to scoot the universes together and overlap them. I think that can happen.
I honestly though I do think put it far in the future so that way you don't have to worry about it, right?
No.
Totally.
I'm sure all this is happening in some part of the universe. It's so vast.
It's happening now.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
They can build upon it, and I think with Prey showing that there's still some life, I can only hope that like you guys say, they do some kind of anthology, and it's just kind of annoying how, like you guys say, how it takes someone kind of making an invite for others to decide, hey, we can do that with our franchise.
Someone has to take the first step.
Yeah, but it's kind of the only good thing about all this consolidation is it does make it a little easier when everything is under one doorstep. That's how it got started in the first place. Right? The comics, but those are low risk, right? Writing a comic's low risk. No one buys it. Okay.
I am glad, however, especially considering the saturation of AVP stories in comic book form out there, that the Alien and Predator franchise never suffered from the Star Wars and the Marvel syndrome, where you just pump out movies.
They pump them out when the stories on occasion, and it's just so weird. Yeah, because every other franchise seems to just do itself in. Like the minute it's a surprise hit, they sequelize it to death to where you're like, stop. Wasn't meant to be.
AVP doesn't have like a particular set of characters on which the whole story is based, right?
Well, right.
It's just general,
kind of like
different.
Universal monsters. It's based on the creatures.
Here's a different predator. Here's another predator, and here's one of the many like very similar xenomorphs.
Well, it's like those other ones are a bit of they were victims of their own success, right? It's like you said, as soon as there's a hit, these were never hits, so they didn't have to worry about getting oversaturated. They're more like rather than the victims of their success, or they're like the king of their failure.
And once you have like a particular arc or set of characters, and you start getting dissonance and like, and on the internet, you start seeing this dissonance. Then all of a sudden, it's sort of like loses its track and starts to stumble over itself. That what the creators can never do is generate something that everyone's going to like, because everyone already has preconceived notions.
Well, of course, but if you make something everyone likes, and it's no good.
So it peters out, and so then it peters out, because then, like you say, they're going to make something that everyone likes or try to, and it becomes boring. Back before the internet, I think movies were great because they didn't get that feedback, so they were just working on their own, like laurels. I guess they were like literally.
There's some pretty good
going
stuff
blind.
Now, though.
Oh yeah,
I'm not here to defend
yes.
the internet.
Yes.
You're right. I also don't want to get into things were better back then. Because...
No, because we have evolved in how we present things, and we are okay with presenting certain things that we weren't okay with like 20 years ago. Oh, there's a boob.
I think
right.
I think movies have gotten.
So something you shouldn't say.
I think movies have gotten better in the last. Overall, I think they've gotten better because people are experimenting more with them. It feels like, even on a bigger level. But I think what we're seeing is that the big studio movies aren't delivering anymore.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's too many hands in it.
It's like an 80s action movie. That is like the ones that had good scripts were genuinely really good stories. We don't have that anymore. Instead, we have MCU Part 47, and you need to watch all the 46 others to fully understand why they eat Pringles instead of Lay's.
Hell, even porn had plot back in the day.
Yeah, right.
For all I know, it still does.
5,000, even
although there are things like John Wick,
play
which is sort of like a movie through time. That's totally an 80s style action movie, and it has basically no plot.
It's
wonderful.
wild how Taken and Equalizer have just kind of shown how it's like kind of just the last bit of showing how people are clamoring for kind of a supernatural, action star to lead the whole movie, and then you sugarcoat the rest of it with some fun villains and gory kills, and it just seems like you have that with some of our B movie action stars and martial artists, like freaking Hart DeCosco's, Dolph Lundgren, Scott Adkins. But
Scott Adkins, I was going to say number one.
Right, but it's pretty died down. Like they're still like you can only get them through like Redbox or video on demand.
I still haven't seen.
But has there? Well, in terms of like just sci-fi as a genre, has there been another 2001 or just movies that fall short?
Has there been another best movie of all time? No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, actually, I still haven't even seen it.
I don't know.
It seems like Dennis Villeneuve's pretty agreeable, but that's a good question because I got really annoyed recently when Turner Classic Movies started playing way recent just Best Picture winners, and I'm like, oh, you guys are better than this.
Oh yeah,
I think Interstellar was a very good, thought-provoking, definitely sci-fi movie that dealt with concepts that couldn't have been done except in sci-fi.
It fell short. It wasn't a 2001.
Yeah, but like I said, that's an unfair advantage. But I think your broader question is: are they making sort of whole sci-fi thought movies, not sci-fi?
I mean, there's
like Ex Machina was,
but
good
that's
like
as close as you get. I mean.
What's
What's his name who wrote Gattaca kind of was doing stuff there
Gattaca
for a while.
Was brilliant. That was a perfect sci-fi movie because
you might like the Predestination, which is by the Spurrig brothers.
All right, I'll check that out. And the what's the show that was on Sci-Fi and then moved, I think, over to Netflix?
The Expanse, yes.
Yeah, The Expanse.
That was
I've seen that one.
That was pretty good.
And it seems like with that and Altered Carbon, Cyberpunk's alive and well, but it wasn't for a while. It seems like
we're there. It's happening.
Yeah,
we can't.
And I mean, we'll still use that term, and sometimes some people don't get it. I mean, we just finally just got an adaptation of William Gibson. Who would have thought years ago?
Yeah,
you convince the guys who do, Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, who do Person of Interest and Westworld rehashed, do this. People years ago would have laughed him off. Oh, that show, it won't last long. It's like, I think people are just finally figuring out it's not going to last long if it's on network TV, but if you put it on a streaming platform, you can do whatever.
Yeah, and you still got about 26 to 28 more Philip K. Dick stories.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Especially since they don't barely touch upon the original story anyway.
I don't know, like it almost seems
they
like
could
science
totally
fiction
do a comic book crossover. That would be perfect if they finally decided to show the Weyland Yutani research lab and the origin of Blade Runner. That would be applause worthy. That would be like, okay, cool. You finally went beyond what they were allowed to show in the movies.
Yeah. When I first heard of the show, the Umbrella Academy, I thought it was about the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. Make it more like, Gotham PD or something, You see the sort of in and out of this world, and you only touch on these things tangentially.
That's also Dark Horse.
Yeah. And so I think that would be neat to do with like a Weyland Yutani. I know there's a couple ones that they also show up in the Predator universe too, like these big corporations. They seem to imply that Japan had taken over at some point in the US, because almost all of them are
back then.
It's wild. It's twisted.
Back in the 80s, there was this big fear Japan was going to like defeat the world with their industrialization.
And they did.
They did.
Can I mention something really quick? Can I mention something really quick about John Wick, since we brought it up?
Yeah.
In the first John Wick movie, something that bothers me so much is that the villain
bothers you.
Yeah.
Is it the dog? It bothered him.
It's that the villain speaks with a Swedish accent.
Oh, see,
he's supposed to be Russian, but he sounds like someone's uncle to me because of the way he speaks.
God,
that's so interesting. I would not have picked up on
Swedish Russian mix, probably.
I also think that it's funny that the word they use for boogeyman is Baba Yaga,
probably a lame
which is not. That's not correct. Baba Yaga is a very specific creature of folklore in that region.
Yeah,
it's
kind of like
it'd be like saying he had this Bigfoot. It's like, well, what he means to say is it's a monster.
I know,
I mean, John Wick.
It's an old lady that eats children, right? Yeah,
exactly.
It's the Lake House.
So to explain it, it's kind of Olympus Has Fallen, Die Hard logic. You're not speaking German, you're speaking British, doing German.
Yeah.
I mean, John Wick completely butchers every European representation in it.
Yes.
Looking at it from a European's perspective,
butchers on many levels.
So it's interesting because we were talking about how it's kind of a throwback to 80s movies, which are all about the horrible stereotypes of all the. You mentioned Die Hard. We had the white guy that played the Native American who was just somehow naturally good at tracking in Predator. Like, smell, okay, they're not magical people. They're just people.
They're just good at sounding like it, even though they're not. But it is Wild House. They go along with these stereotypes and
what do people like from the 80s? Action, no plot, got it. Stereotypes,
right.
But the thing is,
Air Force One and go.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Stark is like every other Nazi is going snow.
The thing is that the Russian accent and Russian English accent actually sounds scary.
Mm-hmm.
The English Swedish accent don't
do that again. You Americans will never get it.
Well, then bring it all back to Red Heat, where we get Schwarzenegger as an Austrian doing a Russian accent. Cocaine Burnham.
An Austrian guy playing a Russian. I love it.
Do it in America. I like it when he played the hick Southern sheriff in Raw Deal.
Yeah. Oh, Ooh, there you go.
You try with that accent though. He's like, I am from Alabama. Okay, buddy.
There you go.
The
Every
Austrian
other
pot.
American would play a hick back in the day, and it's like, yeah, but you ain't been to the South. You're just doing Beverly Hillbillies 101.
So I'm from the South. I'm from Munich. No,
Yes.
Okay, wrong part.
Fortunately, with Arnold, they would try to do their best, unlike with
Yeah.
Van Damme, where they would just be like, he's quarter Cajun. You're like, no,
Yeah,
you just
okay.
open up a bigger pot of holes. Just stop. Just say he's not from around here, and we'll.
In America,
He's whoever you want him to be. Eh?
random Austrians in the South.
Yeah,
That's popping up.
There you go.
That's like part of like
Austrian in the
FBI
South. There's
protection
got to
or
be a
something,
movie
too.
just called that. I will say, I am glad that Arnold's finally getting that spy show because it does look like his John
Oh
Claude
yeah,
Van
I've
Johnson.
heard. I'm trying not to see.
No, I've not heard this.
I've been trying not to see.
I did see a preview that played before a program, and it was quite a hoot. I was like, "See,
Alright.
this is great. This is worth the wait," because they were talking about it for like 2 years, and it didn't sound like it was going anywhere, but it sounded like a proper like True Lies type homage to his whole career. And I was like,
okay.
"That's cool," because if there's anything I will be watching, I will be watching this. I will not be watching the remake of True Lies for TV. That somehow they decided, let's redo it. And the only thing we bring back is Tom Arnold. That's a win, right? No, it's not a win.
I only watch it if they call it Two Lies. That
Two
should be
lies
the sequel.
are better than. Well, why don't they call it quadruple lies since they're already lying to the audience that this is going to be any good?
What's the name of that show?
True Lies.
It's just.
Oh no, I mean
Schwarzenegger show.
The name of Arnold's upcoming show. Let's
Yeah.
look it up. It's
All right.
Arnold
I didn't even know he had
Spy
that
show,
coming up.
Netflix.
This may be the opportunity we get to tie everything back into Aliens and Predators.
Yes.
It is called Fubar.
Fubar.
And it is developed by Skydance TV and created by Nick Santora, who you might know for his work on Punisher Warzone, the Prison Break franchise. And
oh God.
There's a lot of cigar smoking here.
It's it stands for Fighting Under Big Aliens.
Yeah.
Right?
He also worked on the Fugitive Show, Most Dangerous Game, episodes of FBI, and Reacher. So this is a win for me. I'm sorry. He gets action on a small scale. He can do it. I can't.
Yeah.
And if it's anything like Punisher Warzone, then it's definitely going to be entertaining.
There we go.
This will be good.
Someone once had I used to go to this wonderful site where they would share their action figure customs, and someone did a dead-on, like Schwarzenegger as the Punisher.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
It was a great action figure custom, and I was like, "You have a copy of it?"
That would be awesome. We have a nice Punisher Lego, I think. Do we not?
Somewhere.
It's right there. I can see it next
I used to have a Lego-sized, what did they call where it was like an action figure, but you could like twist it, like.
Get the guy going there. Good podcasting. You guys can't see it, but it's a Lego. Imagine it looks just like
it's very anatomically.
Envision it.
That is a very well realized Punisher Lego, but there was this one I had where it's like there was the stretchy action figures, and I found one that was blue, and I was like, this, but its face looks so much like Arnold, so I was like, okay, so this is Arnold.
Oh, like a
T-1000.
Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nice.
It was a great Terminator cousin. I was like, okay, perfect. And he's going around trying to kill all these rebel scumbags.
I love it.
Why can't they make a movie? Why can't they make a movie where a xenomorph breaks into a retirement home and all the retirees are 80s action stars?
Wasn't that more or less?
That was kind of like Bubba Hotep.
That was what I was saying.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bubba
Yeah.
Hotep.
And you might sneak in a Reggie Bannister cameo because he's not going to be with us for long.
And we have that's Ash from Evil Dead, so we can.
Yeah. Oh well. Hey.
Oh, I'm saying Reggie
because
from Phantasm.
Oh yeah.
So but if you have an evil Ash and Ash, I'm down.
Oh, there's another Evil Dead movie coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how much he has to do to be involved with it, so it'll be interesting.
I don't think he's.
What is interesting though is that in the new Evil Dead game that came out last year, that was produced by Saber, I think the company's name are, and they are owned by Embracer that also own Dark Horse Comics.
To be fair, I think Embracer owns everyone at this point. I just read an article.
Yeah, so start mashing things together.
There you go.
I mean,
Predator versus Ash. Just do it.
Yeah, and throw in some Disney stuff. Throw in like
I know
Kylo
they
Ren,
did
I don't know.
one. They
You're
did
going
one
to
that
see them
was-
next week, mate. You get them going on this.
What if they acquire Pokemon?
You tell them, make sure I get my money for Baby Predator.
There you
though.
go. And
When
it's
those
an
plushies
Action
come out.
Star edition. I choose Dutch.
I choose you, Blue Deacon.
There you go. But you don't even have to say I choose you. You just say John McClane versus Rim. Go.
Oh God, yes, yes. Oh my
But yeah, versus the main any of the Predator characters. Go. And but I know there was one Dark Horse trade paperback that was Terminator versus the Transformers.
Yeah.
So I think
I love to mix it up.
What? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm about to buy the comic myself. I'm like, I found out about it the other year, but it seems like that we have all this stuff that it's just asking for just like Eli's is saying, just do it.
What the hell is an Energon cube anyway? I mean, what?
It's like explaining Kingdom Hearts to someone. I'm not getting into
That does sound like a Kingdom Hearts thing, a role playing game.
The timeline is so convoluted, and plus Transformers has done various reboots, and they mess with their canon more than I think Disney or with Star Wars has.
I mean, if you wanted to,
But I mean, considering that Cocaine Bear can take on the MCU at this point,
right?
I mean, you're doomed at that point. So let's go out with the bang.
Is that the stage 6? Now that they've done Thanos, Thanos wanted to wipe out half the universe. Cocaine wants the other. Cocaine Bear wants the whole universe.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a bigger bad.
Oh, they're gonna need some Infinity Stones for that for sure.
Yeah,
But they're gonna
they
crush them up and
definitely will.
snort them though.
Next time, aim for the stash.
Aim for the stash. Aim for the stash.
Cocaine Predator.
Oh wow, I don't know.
Ooh.
Well, you know,
Xenomorph snorts.
the Predator doesn't do drugs. He had the opportunity to do drugs in Predator 2 when he went up against.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not
And he
for
didn't
him.
touch the cocaine.
Although
so
he
was
does
like,
inject some sort of like who knows what
He
in
gets his
Predator
own
1.
high.
Yeah, we
It's an
assumed
illegal
that was
joke.
something
All right,
for healing because he did it at the same time as burning his stuff.
Oh, there you go. He
Oh,
was
okay.
using the
But it could have
drugs
been
to
voided
soothe
up.
the pain.
Probably was. No, that's what you do. You know, you hit yourself with some insulin, some like growth hormones, some
And that was
freaking-
why he lost
Right.
because basically at the end of the movie, Schwarzenegger moved away from all of his fancy toys and tricks and got down tribal. Whereas the Predator tried to rely on his guns and his drugs and all this other stuff. He started relying on his tools. He went the wrong direction. And that is why he lost.
It went the wrong direction.
They should have played that at the end of the movie. Just totally
so
blow
80s.
the tone. It's all somber and stuff. And then it's just like
it's like one of those like Asian movies or whatever where they have like inappropriate like the credit
Huey Lewis
music
type songs.
or fight music.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like something suitable for an inspirational montage when
Yeah.
the character's getting ready for a
Not
date,
your own
not
makeup.
for a big fight scene. You know? I mean, come on.
Right. Someone watched Rocky a few too many times and got the wrong gist of, oh, they mean this. Oh, well.
Yep. Yeah, I love that, and I love when the lips don't match the words. That's the other thing.
Yeah, there you go.
For dumb movies.
It's ADR.
You're right. Unfinished ADR. They
ADR
can do
versus
something.
AVP.
Ooh.
If they're going to do anything, they definitely need to have, like, I don't know, just some kind of a Velocipastor kind of spoof where they're just making fun of creature features.
Nah.
There you go.
Explosion shot missing.
But they could do them like they used to do the old Toho Kaiju films, where it would be like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And,
Yeah.
and you could just have them as
That's
kind of things,
definitely
sort
what
of
AVP was.
low budget.
Hulu
Do
specials.
lots of them.
And,
It's Alien and Predator
and like-
versus Mothra.
and like what you said
Versus
earlier,
Mothra, yeah.
comic
Mothra
books are
was.
way cheaper than movies. You
Yeah.
know, so you can experiment.
But if
with
you
the
do these low
idea.
budget films, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah, which those are definitely coming.
How about an hour Hulu special, and it's just a predator vibing about in the forest? No
Yeah.
humans, just him.
Is he doing parkour?
He's just trying to find something to hunt. Like his buddies.
Yeah, he's just
his
going
buddies
around.
are fucking with him. They're like, yeah, this is the good hunting ground, and they're back in the spaceship, like drinking Predator beer. And I'll watch them. They're like, "It's you said there's a big thing to kill here." Oh yeah, buddy, it's there somewhere. Just like idiot.
Yes,
Does it become like
a regular
Jackass? Are
Monday.
there shopping carts and toilets and
I would actually watch that Jackass Predator Edition because Johnny Knoxville can be stopped. Actually,
Well, you know,
yeah,
they have
there you go.
those
And
YouTube
there you
videos
go.
where
They're
it's
trying
like,
to put their hand up its ass, and then he's
You know,
just like, "What are you doing, dude?"
I think it's usually
Blasts his head
GQ
off.
who does these YouTube videos where it's like, you know, let's have this person break down their scenes. I'm like, oh, David Vito's like, oh, this part I remember, you know, doing this, or, you know, someone will talk. There's a great one, Scott Adkins talking about stunt work and stuff like that. I'd like to see one where they do it and it's the Predator,
The
and they
Art
just have
of
like
Action
subtitles
Predator
underneath, like,
Edition, yeah.
like all that we're breaking down all Predator scenes with the Predator, and it's just him sitting in a chair, and it's like subtitles like,
Sitting
yeah,
on
it
a
was really
chair.
hot that day. They say I like heat, but not this kind of heat. It was like a sticky heat, you know, it's unbelievable. It's crazy. And they're like, oh, okay.
That's wild.
That scene where I'm shooting that stuff up. Yeah, I just trying to cope with this shoot,
Yeah,
man. It really
that guy Sonny Landham, real jerk.
There you go.
He thought I was a real predator, and he tried to fight me after the cameras were off. That
He
was nuts.
thought wrong. Dun dun dun.
That scream you hear, that's me kicking him in the nuts. Oh, I wasn't even in the suit.
Oh.
Fortunately, the sound guy captured it and
Yeah, that's it.
we used it. Rest of history.
That's the sound. I think he popped one. That's good
Yeah,
Foley
that's
work.
good, yeah.
Good.
I was convinced.
Good raw Foley.
I forgot you brought Ben Bird onto this podcast. This is great.
I just got to thinking of the behind the scenes story when Jean-Claude Van Damme was still a part of the original Predator movie.
Oh, how about
And
dude?
they
in a
were gonna
better
do like
world, I would have Russell Crowe and Wesley Snipes tag team in the Predator.
yeah. So anyway,
Two gladiators, or
Yeah.
Simon Blade or Simon Phoenix versus the Predator versus Maximus Desperatius. They get transported to like a outer space like gladiator stadium. And
That's more or less
So-
what it is. Yeah, go ahead.
in this behind the scenes
Ridley
story,
Scott really had to beg.
in this behind the scenes story, the Predator was supposed to like jump or something, and so they had Jean-Claude Van Damme tied up to a what you call it?
Like a harness
those-
sort of thing.
Yeah, harness, so he could glide across
Oh,
the
like a zip
jungle.
line, maybe?
Yeah, a
Like a
zip line.
wire.
Yeah,
They
or a
had
wire,
him.
yeah.
They had him in the duck suit, connected to a zip line, and the zip line operator slips on the mud, and he spirals out of controls and starts spiraling on the zip line. And while
Oh,
he's doing
God.
it, he screams out, "I hate this suit!" So they had to cut him down, and he just fell down, and then he started beating his arms on the ground. He said, "I hate this suit. I hate this job."
Oh man, I can only think of like Boba Fett's jetpack, you know, just firing his vest into it. It's like the Predator's activating some piece of equipment he doesn't know. They just leave that scene in. He's like, let me try this
I like
one.
how the heavy emphasis on equipment.
I would have just left that scene in in the movie, and all of a sudden you just see a flying duck, man. No context.
But they do it like the end of a Jackie Chan film, you know? I'm like, wait, what?
That's the stoner version of the movie.
Yeah.
Just see the flying duck.
There you go.
Man.
What I love, what I love is that the first things they shot was the cloaking scenes with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Jean-Claude Van Damme thought that orange suit they used to key the scenes was actually the official creature suit.
No wonder he like had no respect for the filmmakers.
How do they not see me?
So wild. And just the fact that it just continued, they just kept going about it.
Oh, hey, you know, blue screen, green screen, I guess in this case, red screen was all pretty new back then,
Red
wasn't
screen.
it? Yeah.
Blue screen, red screen.
Red screen at
Oh,
night.
Fight for
That's
ice
when,
cream.
Yeah.
This movie's gonna not do all right. All right. Well, how are we on time?
I think we've just about wrapped it up. But it's been so good having you all on here. So where can the Swedish Horror Nerd be found? On the social?
So I have two accounts: a Swedish Horror Nerd, which is the main account, And then I have another account for promotion where I promote different horror creators. And
Sweet.
that is called Horror Community News. And if you need anything promoted, I promote all sorts of movie stuff, mainly horror, but all sorts of movie stuff. You can just reach out and I will help you promote.
Sweet.
Wonderful, thank you.
And Cliff and Aaron, where can the Predator Minute be found?
Yeah, you can go to Predator Minute. There's, strangely enough, there's 2 of them. So if you see one with 2 guys holding a beer next
you're
to...
the ones with an actual logo. Just saying.
Yeah. We're actually on Predator 2. Maybe by the time you hear this, some of those episodes will be uploaded. We've just started. We also do another podcast called Gonzo Minute, where we will watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas 1 minute at a time. And that one, probably up to minute 65.
It's really Gonzo.
Yeah, that one's the opposite experience of trying to follow along because so much happens.
Yeah, it's really hard. That's a challenging one, especially the prep is kind of expansive. It can be not enough time to do it,
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for having us on.
Anytime.
I love talking about this stuff.
Me too.
You guys were dynamite. I'm glad to have anyone for these fun sessions.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Anytime.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up